Welcome back to Nick Landis Comic Corner, Classic, Non-Classics. This is episode number 1735 and Doubleshot number 1629. I have two Spider-Man trades. The first one was a short-lived series from last year that got abruptly canceled. Why did I get it, you might ask? Because I'm going to talk about it. That's why. We have Non-Stop Spider-Man. This book pretty much replaced the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man book. Yep, that was simply the reason they put this book out. Was that it replaced the recently concluded Freedom of Spider-Man, which ended after 14 issues, that volume. This was the replacement for it, and it's not done by Tom Taylor, it's done by Joe Kelly, who had also worked on a different Spider-Man comic book before this one, Spider-Man / Deadpool. So this is technically the second book he's worked on. And here's a shocker for you. It's only 5 issues. Why in the world was this 5 issues? No idea. Yes. And this is by far the first original ongoing title they've had for Spider-Man in years. I think the last one they had like this, where it was an original title that wasn't like revival of an old title, was probably before this that I could think of, was Superior Spider-Man. That was the last one I could think of. Of course, that was released 8 years prior to this one. This only launches last year, and it ended last year after only 5 issues. Yes, like I said, Joe Kelly does the writing for this book, and you have Chris Bachalo in the artwork. With Corey Smith issue 5, Andrew Salvador on issue 5 as well. Now, here's something interesting though about this book. Now, does Spider-Man fight any of his villains in this book? The answer is no, he doesn't. You're thinking, really? A Spider-Man book and he doesn't fight any of his villains? No, he ends up fighting Baron Zemo all these issues. Yes, for some reason they decided to have Baron Zemo to be the main villain in this book, which is quite strange to say the least. Now you might be asking, Nick, has Spider-Man ever met Zemo before? Or at least seen him in person? Nope. Never has. This is also, I think, the first time that Zemo's ever appeared in a Spider-Man comic book. Because when I think of Zemo, what comic book does usually appear a lot of the time? Well, Thunderbolts or Captain America. Though he was also a regular villain in pages of Punisher. Yes. And of course he is in the relaunch book, which I'll talk about that. Yes, but that's simply put when it comes to this character. He most appears like Captain America, Avengers, Thunderbolts. That's mostly what he's done since his debut. It's mostly appeared in those books. He did appear in one issue of Devil Marks Money. But yeah, I mean, prior to appearing in this very book, the last book he appeared in was like an issue of MODOK Head Games. Yeah, in issue number 2. Yeah, well, let's see. Zemo was probably like a flashback. Oh, just a cameo. But if you want to think of the last major book he appeared in, was probably Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was released about a year prior to that. But as a major role, probably the final issue of Punisher. Which even I question why Marvel ended that book after only just the book ended like 3 years ago now. And I still question, why the heck did Marvel end this book for? It's by far the most baffling thing that Marvel has done with the character. But in the case of this book, it's quite weird though. We have Spider-Man fighting Baron Zemo. Because like I said, he has never met him before prior to the story. And you scratch like, really? He's never met Spider-Man before? Yes. It's all true. By far. Oh, you think, what about Superior Foes of Spider-Man appeared in that book? Well, that was featuring the foes, the Sinister Six. But Spider-Man himself? No, he's never met him before. Which is interesting to say the least when it comes to this character. Mostly please here just to poke fun of the Hydra stuff and do his other characters And at one point, Spider-Man has to save him. By the way, this book does a return of Nora Winters. Excuse me. Yes, which is probably the first time he's appeared on a book since Nick Spencer wrapped up his run for Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. It's by far one of the most interesting things. By the way, the story is called Big Brain Play. Yes. The book does end with him getting, well, when he rescues Zemo from these group of criminals who want to come and take over. We even have Zemo being usual fascist self, where he's like, oh, swear word, a black man. Yes, Zemo is a racist. That's simply put what Zemo is. And by the way, he's actually one of two villains who would willingly work with the Red Skull. Because Red Skull is a Nazi. And Zemo is basically a fascist. So of course he would work with him. Book is actually really good. But the book does end with Spider-Man gets sliced up by Zemo when he gets to an island and he becomes, like, first time since the 70s, he has become the Man Spider, which they later relaunched the book as the Savage Spider-Man. Yes, this is one thing I do not know why Marvel did this for. Like, they put out this book. Now, here's the thing. Marvel never stated this was a mini-series. This was put out as an ongoing series. But it was like 5 issues. And you might be asking, is there any like other Spider-Man book that Peter Parker has featured as an ongoing book? The answer is no. There were spin-off books that he had that's part of his franchise, like one for Miles, there's one for Spider-Woman, Venom, and a few other characters. But Peter himself, a spin-off book for him? No, not really. Oh, one thing cool about this book is the webbing here. It's like so freaking thick here. Like, wow, that's what you get for Chris Bachalo's artwork. It's very, very detailed, to say the least. Yep. I'm going to give that book a 9.5 out of 10. Not that bad of a book. Like, purely fun. I mean, yeah, it makes the whole point of why it's called Non-Stop Spider-Man. It's just basically a lot of action a lot of period of time. And you might ask, was this book canned to low sales? I highly doubt it. They just launched the book, and you think that the book got canceled due to low sales? I highly doubt it that this book probably is going to get relaunched because of low sales. We have the second volume for Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. And this collects Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, issues 81-85 and 80.BEY. Yep, we actually have Corey Ziegler, who actually does the BEY book. And we have 81-82 done by Saad Ahmad. Of course, the only reason why he wrote those 2 issues is because Miles shows up. We'll get to that. You have Patrick Gleason doing an issue. And you have Cody Zare does issue number 84-85. Now, in this book particularly per se, yes, the whole point of what's on the cover here is that we have a fight between Ben Reilly and Miles Morales. And of course, they had to deal with the whole trademark thing, which is something they brought up in the Miles book recently. Yes, because the whole thing of Beyond owning the trademark of Spider-Man. Yes, seriously. And we also have Dr. Octopus playing a supporting role in this book. Yes, Dr. Octopus. Where he's basically, like, apparently his biggest desire is to sleep with May Parker. And I'm thinking, really? Really? Dr. Octopus wants to sleep with May Parker. Yeah, this was something that Jerry Conway did. Dr. Octopus's obsession for May Parker. No, I'm not kidding about that. Jerry Conway is the one who started this nonsense. Yeah, this is actually... I never talked to Conway about this, though I might see him at Comic-Con future, if he goes one. I'm going to ask him this question. Why the heck did you have Dr. Octopus go after May Parker, of all people? Yes, a woman who's like 20 years older than he is. And apparently he is like, oh, I want to bed this old lady. Yes, seriously. And by the way, there is jokes in here about basically you have Dr. Octopus referred to as a grandpa. And I'm thinking, how old is Dr. Octopus? Appearance-wise, he looks like he's presumably in his early to mid-40s. Yes, calling this guy Grandpa for a guy being in his 40s is ridiculous. Yeah, and by the way, Ben does get chastised for not taking out Miles. He says, "I'm not beating up a teenager," just because him and them goes to get arguing about this with his boss, Maxine Danger, who, by the way, actually does finally meet Dr. Octopus. By the way, in case you're curious, though, which one of the rotating writers of this book created Maxine Danger? Kelly Thompson. No, I'm not kidding about that. She created Maxine Danger. Yep. Plus, we also have the whole thing with May and Dr. Octopus is that we have May paying a visit to one of the UFOs, Viper, to get a sample of her gas. I am not kidding about that. And while this is going on, Dr. Octopus beats up the UFOs. Yes, Dr. Octopus, a known Marvel supervillain, beats up the UFOs. And here's the thing. Apparently, people in Marvel Universe have no idea who the heck the UFOs are, despite the fact they've been around since the 80s. And these guys were originally Hulk villains. Yes, the UFOs were Hulk villains. Probably because they're not well publicized, I'll say Dr. Octopus or Zemo. Yep. And of course, basically, it's like, Yeah, it's like basically he really wants to bed May Parker so badly. Yes, that is the way the artwork depicts him. Also, it's like he's very lustful to an old lady like May Parker. I'm like, ugh. Yes, for some reason I'm not really sure why they brought this aspect about Doctor's back. This is probably the first time in years they brought this up. Because the last time they kind of brought this up was with Amazing Spider-Man 600, which came out in 2009. And this was 2011 stuff. Like, okay, Marvel writers, I have a request for you for the relaunch of the Amazing Spider-Man. Please drop the aspect about Dr. Octopus where he's trying to seduce May Parker. It's stupid. It was by far a really stupid idea to begin with. I don't know how Conway feels about this whole thing. Like, I'm sure he probably does like the fact this was brought back. But please drop this aspect. It seems very gross. Like, nothing wrong with May Parker getting himself a guy. But not Dr. Octopus. Like, someone like J. Jonah Jameson, the senior, that was fine. Because that was a guy around her age. Octopus is like 20 years younger than she is. But last time he did this, it wasn't for lustful stuff like he is here. It's so he can get his hands on a nuclear power plant. That was one of the things. That was one thing I didn't like about this book, was that tiny aspect. Yes, I mean, Dr. Octopus. I mean, don't you want to go after your ex-girlfriend? Why don't you sleep with her, not May Parker? Shit. Artwork is still pretty good. Yes, Zima story here done by Patrick Gleason. You might be asking, was this the first book Patrick Gleason wrote and draw? The answer is no. Second book he did. Because the first book he did was Robin, Son of Batman. The very first ongoing series for Damian Wayne, which was launched just after the conclusion of Batman and Robin Volume 2. A really good book, by the way. Love that book. Friend Timmy loves the book too. Yep. I gotta say, these issues are a bit of a step from the opening stuff. Yeah. And apparently, May Parker has no problem with Dr. Octopus's arms. Does like him very much. And yes, he does meet Maxine Danger, which we also have this thing called Rhine Zone. That's the whole thing with the whole thing with Miles in here. Plus, one thing I do love about the artwork in here is that we have Ben Reilly using old glider stuff. Yeah, when was the last time we saw that? Yep. I mean, I appreciate though the fact they included in the whole stuff. Now, the whole thing with Peter is that after you got the whole gas injection, this is actually one thing that I think my friend Tiffany and I can agree on. this part of the aspect of the Beyond storyline, where at this point in time, where despite the fact that Peter's been cured, he apparently is so hesitant to get out of bed, to get himself basically, like, this whole scared aspect. Where apparently he doesn't want to do his physical therapy. Despite the fact it's supposed to help him, he just doesn't want to do it. I'm like, why the hesitation? Why? I'm sure a lot of people reading this really want to see Peter back as Spider-Man. Oh yeah, love this particular picture here, seeing Dr. Octopus in the white suit. Yeah, it's so awesome seeing this. And of course, Jeannie isn't here. You have Peter, you have Ben fighting Miles. And I love his reaction seeing the interior of Beyond Corporation. Where he has, like, he shows up. He's like, hi, may I help you? Yes, I'm here to see Maxine Danger. I'm sorry, sir. See, it's controversy for Miss Danger today. No problem, my boy. This is surprise. It's some of a surprise. I'm like, okay. So you have Dr. Octopus from looks like to be, I mean, the trench coat reminds me a lot of the Alpha Melonia version of the character. I was kind of surprised to see this in the book again. So he just gasses her and is like, ooh, this ID card, cool. Lewis, not to worry, man. This is simple, Joe. It's merely just a light sit and Lewis be fine. I'm pretty sure he hit his part. Not part of the drill. I trust me, I'm a doctor. And this is quite hilarious. You have Dr. Octopus, the Beyond Corporation, like, he just walks by, he sees like a talker, like, and then they dare. Sandwich department #1. What the heck? He's like, egg? Sentient sandwiches? Okay. Hangover pills. Interesting. And then he runs into the Daughters of the Dragon, which never met these two before. Nope, never met them before. Like, interesting. You have to briefly fight him, and of course you have Maxine wear this sexy attire. Like, wow. What is this, sexy attire day? Like the whole drive thing. Oh crap, dirty secrets. Yep, of course they got away. And of course Ben's like, oh, gotta begin new. And that's it. Yeah. Somewhat good stuff here, but you gotta love 85. That was pure comedy. Of basically, you have Dr. Octopus, the Beyond Corporation headquarters, and him reacting to that stuff was so funny. Sandwich department #1. He's like, what the heck is this? Yeah, I probably think that's probably the most funniest issue. That was probably the only issue I had no problem with. The whole thing with the trademark with this is kind of stupid. My only guess is the reason why Sal and Ma agreed to do these issues because it's in his book, so why the heck not? I did admit there's some of a slight improvement over the last stuff here. But, like, okay. Like I said, the only two aspects about these issues I didn't like is Dr. Octopus being lustful to Aunt May and Peter Parker's reluctance to become Spider-Man again in the storyline. Yes, seriously. Despite that, I'm going to give this a 8.5 out of 10. I would give it 9.5, but it's two aspects I just named are the reason why it does not get 9.5. Dr. Octopus stuff, the rest of the stuff related to Dr. Octopus is fine. But him trying to lust after Aunt May and Peter Parker's stuff in the storyline it's just not that good. Oh, also, we do briefly see return of the Lizard in these issues. Yes, the Lizard. Yeah, that's pure setup for some stuff you see a little bit later on here. Yep, and that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. Now, tomorrow, I don't have any comic horrors playing because that pretty much how my trades I have right now. So, I might have probably about one video due tomorrow. Actually, maybe two. If I'm lucky. I probably get a chance to do One Piece and also do a review for Attack on Titan. Okay? Next video. Bye.